Today I am here at a very large piano store with a very large piano, because of course everything's bigger in Texas. The piano I am here with today is a Blüthner Model 1, which is their concert grand piano, and these are not very easy to find. The owner of the store that I'm at, which by the way the information for it will be in the description of this video, the owner of the store who is here today tells me that there's probably only about 3 or 4 or 5 new Blüthner concert grands in the entire country, and I'm here with probably the best example of one that I have found. Blüthner often brings their pianos to NAMM, but NAMM, frankly, is a really bad environment to test pianos. It eats a lot of the sound and the qualities of pianos because there's so much other stuff going on. It's not really a great example of what a piano is. So a nice quiet showroom like this is a really good way to hear what a piano is supposed to sound like. And like I said, this is a really good sounding Blüthner. Christian Blüthner and I believe his brother actually worked on the regulation and the voicing of this piano to the liking of the piano store. And the piano store has really good taste in sound, and Christian Blüthner, or his brother, did a really good job regulating and voicing this piano because it sounds absolutely beautiful. The treble is just the right amount of bright and sparkly, and the mid-range and the bass of this piano is warm and pillowy and soft, and it's absolutely beautiful. You'll hear how this sounds in just a bit, but I wanted to talk about a few of the interesting things that make Blüthners a little bit different than other piano companies, and one of those is if you just look at it, you can see that the harp on the inside is a little bit different. I'll show you some pictures of it here in case you can't see it too well, but the harp is actually a bit different than normal because most pianos have round portholes on them, but Blüthner actually has large kind of strange shaped. One of them is like a lopsided trapezoid, another one's like a triangle, another one's kind of like a tilted over rectangle, and there's a square shape one in the background. They use a lot of different shapes in the harp, and it's a very open design harp. Along the spine of the piano it's entirely open. Most pianos are like that, but along the rim of the piano as well, the harp is very open and the portholes are very, very large. Other piano companies have completely opposite opinions on that. Mason & Hamlin uses the full perimeter plate that goes all the way down the spine of the piano. Their pianos also have a nice sound, but Blüthner has a kind of the opposite idea. They have a very minimal harp, as minimal as you can get on a concert grand, and this piano also has a really lovely sound. Something else you'll probably notice on the inside of the piano is that Blüthner uses blue felt. Many other piano companies use red. I think there's a couple other companies that use different colors. I think there's a small company in Northern Europe that uses purple, and that looks really cool. And I believe C. Bechstein uses green. But Blüthner uses blue, and it looks very nice on the inside of the piano. It's a much different color than you normally see, and it's a very nice touch. Also, along the front of the music desk here, there is a little line of blue felt, where oftentimes there's red. And then also here on the back of the chief blocks, there's a large pad of blue felt to keep it from clunking and getting damaged. Another neat touch that I like is the tiny little Blüthner logo here on the side of the music desk. It's just got the Blüthner name and then with like the outline of a piano, which I think is kind of neat. And also on the lid of the piano, there is a little logo on the top that hardly anyone would ever see, but I'll show you a close-up of that. And it says made in Leipzig, Germany, which is where the Blüthner pianos are made. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that name right, because my German is not that good. But now let's test out what the sound of the Blüthner piano is like. I have a few songs that I often like to play, and I'm going to start off with my test piece that I play on all the acoustic pianos and other things that I review as well. Starts off in the treble, goes down into the tenor, and it's a really good piece actually for testing out the treble end of a piano. So hopefully you guys enjoy hearing the treble side as well as the middle of this Blüthner Model 1. I really, really love the sound of the treble on this piano. It's just the right level to me of bright and clean and crisp, but it's not too bright and it's not too intense, because it's kind of a tricky deal up here in the treble, because you want the treble to be bright so that when you play a loud bass chord and you hit the treble, you want it to be loud enough to compete with the powerful bass. But if it gets too bright, it starts to sound really bad, and if it gets too mellow, it also sounds really bad in a different way, because none of the sustain comes out and it just sounds dead. But this is the perfect balance to me of bright. It's not too bright, it's not harsh and annoying, but it's not too mellow so that the sustain of the piano doesn't come out. The piano has very good sustain. Still going on and on and on. And the overall treble of it just has a really beautiful, crisp sound. like the bass on the piano as well. I'll get to that in a minute. But one thing I wanted to mention, and something I didn't mention earlier when I was talking about things that make Blüthner pianos unique, is the aliquot string. Basically what this is a fourth sympathetic string that runs alongside the main course of strings that you have up here in the treble. I believe, where does the aliquot system start? It starts right up here in the treble. Let me find the note that exactly breaks it. That's the breaking point. So below this note, so on this D flat, there is no aliquot string, but from here all the way up to the top of the piano, you have an additional fourth string that adds sympathetic resonance and adds presence to the treble. And I think that's part of the reason why the treble on this piano sounds really beautiful. If I hold the pedal down and play some treble notes, there's a lot of sympathetic resonance. On concert grands, I find that that's a little bit less than on smaller pianos. That's something I'm noticing recently, that smaller pianos tend to have a lot more sympathetic resonance than bigger pianos, but this one actually still has a considerable amount, probably mostly because of that aliquot stringing system. And the bass end on this piano is absolutely wonderful. I'm going to test out the mid-range of the piano a little bit more with a Bach piece or two, and then I'll talk a little bit about the bass because I absolutely love it. The mid-range on this piano is warm and soft and pillowy, and it just makes you want to relax. So hopefully you guys enjoy a couple of Bach hymns played on this piano. So that is the sound of the Blüthner Model 1, and it's a very, very beautiful sound. The word I used to describe it earlier is pillowy, and I still think that's a really good term to use for it. Because when I play it, it's just soft, and it kind of envelops you in warmth and comfort, and it's really, really a beautiful sound. There's not too many pianos out there that have quite this level of a soft and mellow sound in the new market, and I really do enjoy that sound. It's a very wonderful sound. The action of this piano is also, in a similar way, it kind of has a similar feeling of depth to it. It's, when I sat down and played it for the first time, my first words to describe the action were that it feels big. And it's kind of hard to describe what I mean by that, but just something about the keys feel extra large and the action feels extra substantial, but it's still very responsive. When you go to play it quietly, it does that perfectly, and when you go to play it quickly, it also does that perfectly. The action of this piano is very enjoyable to play, and it's part of the reason that I like playing on the piano so much. They did a really good job of regulating it and voicing it, and it sounds wonderful. The bass end on this piano is also really fantastic. Let me just give you a few samples of some notes from down here. It's got a very, very rich sound, even when it's played quietly, and it sounds very, very beautiful to me. I really like it. Sounds great when you play a low bass note and then just play some other stuff in the rest of the piano. It sounds absolutely wonderful. So what do you guys say to hearing some Debussy on this piano and seeing how Clair de Lune sounds on this wonderful piano? The treble on it is bright and sparkly, but just the perfect amount of bright to me, and the mid-range is beautiful and soft. So I think this is going to be kind of a neat piece to test out a little brief section of the middle of the piece and see how that sounds on here as well. The final piece that I'm going to play on this piano is a new one that I actually composed just today on a Fazioli concert grand in the other room, but I'm also going to play it on this Blüthner because I think it sounds kind of cool. Let me know what you think of it down in the description. Should I expand upon it? Should it become a new test piece? This one uses the bass a lot, very softly, very gently, and it's kind of ominous sounding, and I think it sounds kind of cool, so hopefully you guys enjoy hearing that on the Blüthner Model 1 concert grand. I like the bass in this piano. It sounds really nice, and I think that that piece fits very well. It really shows the resonance this piano has when I play that higher part up here. There's a lot of resonance going on. The piano itself has really good sustain, and partly because of the aliquot stringing, and I guess partly just because of the design of the piano, the rest of it also resonates quite a bit with the piano. So that sounds really nice, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this bit of an in-depth review of the Blüthner Model 1. It's not a common piano, you don't see them very often, and this I think is the best sounding and playing one that I have ever seen. I've had a couple other videos of these before on my channel. I played a really old one, and I think I've done a video years ago at NAMM, but I haven't done a lot of videos on these because they're not very easy to find. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video of the Concert Grand Blüthner. If you did, you might want to go check out my channel. I've got lots of cool videos of pianos, organs, keyboards, and all kinds of other cool musical instruments. If you want to, you might want to think about subscribing. If you do subscribe, thank you very much. Make sure to hit the notification bell to be informed of future uploads. And if you do all that, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.